Bitcoin has just received a massive signal that has the chance of accelerating big time, with some speculating that Dark Brandon may attempt to sell all of the United States Bitcoin reserves before Trump can take office. But is Bitcoin about to face a large rejection? Its first substantial pullback since the US presidential election results at the beginning of November? Or is this about to be the biggest fake out, shakeout, reach around surprise that we have seen so far this entire cycle? So if you're new here, hit that like and subscribe and prepare to watch this video from beginning to end, because we are about to absolutely dive into what is going on with the price of Bitcoin right now, as we have seen a little bit of movement after a quite large announcement. And is Bitcoin anywhere close to receiving its first substantial pullback since November 6th, where basically we've gone straight up? Or in fact, are we just going to keep pumping higher and higher and harder and harder? So one of the first things I want to take a look at is this post on X, which US government moving almost $2 billion worth of Bitcoin to a new address. The US government moving this Bitcoin to potentially sell it before Trump takes office. A lot of people are speculating. Wendy O highlighting on X that if the USA dumps Bitcoin ahead of Trump taking office, while they are very aware that he and other public servants want to start a strategic reserve for Bitcoin, should tell you everything you need to know. Basically, my takeaway from that is, let's say they do that. Let's say they are purposely trying to eliminate the current reserves before the new administration takes office. I am going to be using that opportunity for one thing and one thing only: to buy as much Bitcoin as my grubby little paws can buy. And with these rumors circulating about the US government preparing to sell about $10,000 or 10,000 Bitcoin on Coinbase, guys, I think that the writing is on the wall. And I think that, whatever dip we get, and we're going to be talking about that, we're going to be looking at the charts, whatever dip we get is for buying, in my opinion. So we see Michael Saylor has drained so much OTC Bitcoin in the last few months that we've also hearing rumors that the US government has to step in and provide liquidity for exchanges. Potentially, one way to look at it, instead of looking at it as, as them maybe panicking, maybe the other scenarios, maybe they're trying to provide liquidity to some of these exchanges. We've already seen that the exchanges, I talked about this yesterday, the exchange balances on reserves are quite low. They're quite low. Bitcoin demand is only increasing, and they're being gobbled up like never before, mainly even due to the Bitcoin spot ETFs. And for what it's worth, Bitcoin has dipped at the start of every month for 6 months before bouncing back incredibly strong each time. So before you're panicking here, let's take a look at let's look at a daily chart for the price of Bitcoin, where we see, let's go to the beginning of the last few months. We can go to the beginning of September, a dump, and then we ended up pumping. We can go to the beginning of October, a dump, and we ended up pumping. Beginning of November, it's kind of, I don't have to keep doing this because the post also illustrated, and they told us that every beginning of each month for the past 6 months has been first a little bit of a dumpy, and then we just went higher and higher. My personal opinion is I think we are strongly, very bigly going to be passing $100,000 per Bitcoin before 2024 ends, before 2025. And that is my opinion on that. We also see on CNBC earlier, Tom Lee highlighting and talking about exchanges maybe being concerned with what will happen if Bitcoin breaks 100K. And basically saying that this is going to be like a free-for-all, and people are basically, exchanges and everybody that has the influence and the power to do so might be trying to delay Bitcoin from going above 100K for as long as they can. This is from today. He had this interview today. And it's a truly finite asset. Guys, we're potentially on the verge of hyper Bitcoinization. We have never seen this before. We've never had a Bitcoin bull market where Bitcoin spot ETFs were buying, 5, 10, 15, 20 times the amount of newly issued Bitcoin every single day. This demand, there is going to be a point, very likely in my opinion, where we run out of Bitcoin on these exchanges, or just are so limited that the price just starts doing things we've never seen before in terms of gains, in terms of pumps. I definitely believe that this could be the first bull run where we actually see Bitcoin supply become a gigantic issue, or should I say the Bitcoin lack of supply. We also see that just in Mara Holdings is trying to raise up to $1 billion almost, not quite, but up to $800 million to buy more Bitcoin. Just a few days ago, 10 days ago, they bought 600 million worth. This is not a new story. We're seeing this happen over and over and over again. Smart individuals and companies will continue to buy Bitcoin and keep stacking it. They know where the real value is. And the more people learn, the more they will be gobbling this stuff up. We also see that James Lavish saying Bitcoin is about 0.2% right now. And at 1% of the total global assets, it'll be a $9 trillion asset worth about almost $500,000 per coin. And at 3%, it should be worth about $1.3 million per Bitcoin. That's pretty bullish. We're still, in terms of the bigger picture, in terms of the bigger story here, somehow we are still early. It's still, I mean, isn't that kind of mind blowing? We're talking about, we're at $100,000 almost for Bitcoin. And if we talk about actually the actual reserves and the actual global asset totals, we're somehow still early. We also see, in terms of alt season officially begins from this month to March 2025, according to Milky Bull Crypto here on X. You can see this descending level of resistance. We are right now breaking out of it, very similar to the chart that I've been showing, the entire altcoin chart as well, the entire cryptocurrency chart. Overall, yes, I think we are breaking out big time. And we also see TechDev highlighting that we have not seen an altcoin market set up like this in years, right? And right on this chart, he's comparing the 2015 to 2017 kind of cup and handle, this rounding here, and something extremely similar we're seeing here, which by far the most explosive part coming up. Where do I think we're going to land? In my opinion, I think we're going to be north of about $5 to $6 trillion for the entire altcoin market. For the entire cryptocurrency market, I think this will be the first time we go above $10 trillion for the entire cryptocurrency market. Also, I'm watching this. Bitcoin dominance is continuing to fall. This is a weekly chart. Bitcoin dominance is falling. USDT dominance actually right now, as of this brand new week that just opened, is trying to hold basically at the lows of March 2024. The very first green, this could very quickly shift into red considering it's still like 90% of the candle hasn't even happened yet. We have a lot of time left. That could turn very red before it's over. The entire altcoin market is still, as of this very second, at least a little bit green. But big here is the Bitcoin chart right here with that CME gap down around 78 to 80,000. If we get a rejection, which so far it looks like a few 4-hourly candles ago we might have gotten. Again, it's not the true rejection yet, but basically if we would have broken above this, it could have initiated a big pump. But right now we're kind of in an interesting spot. I mean, obviously I think 94,000 and especially 90,000 is going to be pretty big support. So I find it very unlikely that we would just go straight down to fill a gap. We don't even have to. I'm just saying it's a strong possibility to consider. It absolutely doesn't have to happen. But if we get a rejection here, and if the US government truly does sell like 10,000 Bitcoin or like $2 billion worth of it, it's something we need to be aware of. And on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, we did get our very first red weekly candle just yesterday, just last night, since the election. And actually since all the way back of the week of like October 21st. So are we potentially having some sort of reversal? Way too early to tell. However, on the daily chart, we're right now on the 21-day moving average. Next big moving average is down right around 80,000. So what would you think? How would you react? What would you do if we saw Bitcoin drop about $15,000 from where we are now? Would you be panicking or would you be buying? Because that's a question you should be asking yourself right now. The stock market is actually up today. Basically, yeah, it's at new all-time highs. SPX currently significantly above 6K. But I mean, let's take a look at the weekly chart for Bitcoin. Potentially, we could be entering a couple week correction for Bitcoin or even some sideways. We see the MACD curling over a little bit. We see the RSI curling over a little bit. It is possible that we don't truly break through 100K for another week or two. Right? It could be even, maybe it'll be like towards the end of the month. I personally think we will be breaking 100K before 2024 ends. But what if it's not until the last week of 2024? What if it's not until the true Santa Claus rally? Would that be something that you don't like? Would that make you panic? But in the meantime, what if alts just completely kept pumping like we're kind of seeing them now? Cardano up 5% today. XRP up 20% today. Chainlink up 22% today. And some other top alts, specifically kind of like the older alts, are honestly not doing too bad either. But ultimately, with the U.S. government potentially getting ready to dump some Bitcoin, we could be in store for a little bit more of a pullback. And that's not a bad thing. In fact, if Bitcoin cooled off here and had some sort of retest of some of this lower, especially like about $90,000, pretty much as long as Bitcoin's above $90,000, I don't even consider it a pullback. Basically, a real dump, I think, would have to be below 90K. 90K, remember, we go down right to about here and we draw a straight line. It's where we struggled to get above for a while, and we did have a pullback all the way back on November 26th, but it didn't even go down to 90K. It went to about 91.6. So we'll have to see. So far, we still have, we have a higher high on this chart from the high back at the end of or middle of November to now. So, with this most recent move that came right up to about 100, maybe we'll have to pull back for a little bit, but ultimately, I think alts are going to continue to do what they're doing. And I think that Bitcoin's in a really good spot. It just might take an extra week or two than maybe people are expecting for us to truly break above 100K. And get signed up with Femex below if you want my Bitcoin, altcoins, or trade, and receive up to a $30,000 limited time deposit bonus using my link. Without any further ado, that's it for me.